Good afternoon, sir. If you could, please tell me your name and the branch of service you were in.
Richard Mitchell, and I was in the Army.
What was your job rating MOS in the military?
Rifleman.
Rifleman. 0311?
I don't recall, but we were ready to go over to Korea, and fortunately, it ended.
So what made you join the military?
A little piece of paper I got in the mail. I was drafted, and I'd gotten married a little bit before that, and got drafted and went down to Chicago and then down to Kentucky,
Where were you at in Kentucky?
Fort Campbell,
Fort Campbell. Was that just your basic training, or was that your
everything.
That was everything.
Yeah, we went to the Carolinas for 2 months for a bivouac. During the time when we thought we were going to have an atomic war, so we were sleeping in holes, the tent above it, but you had to sleep below the line of the dirt. It wasn't a great activity for all of us. We were just playing the game along with the people running it.
When you and your squad or your platoon were out there, how did you guys keep your morale up and pass time?
Really, it was the buddy system, and quite a few of us came in from Minnesota, Iowa, the Midwest, and the outfit I was in had 3 to 5 guys, I forget which it was, from the same high school. So we all knew each other and helped each other out.
So what would a typical day be while you were training?
Well, prior to going to the Carolinas, get up in the morning and do the exercise, and then go out in the field. And we were not. It was a combat infantry, almost like I can't think of the name. The CBs are all.
Okay.
But we were supposedly the front to go in and put up bridges and roads and all of that. That's what we were told, and of course we got training, the 16 weeks of the basics, and then we just stayed the rest of the time in Kentucky and played games, going out into the field, staying overnight, or having a forced march, and the payday march, the 25-mile hike once a month. They say we all knew each other, or a lot of us knew each other, and then we were coming from the same area, so there wasn't a lot of diversity of other areas of the country with us.
Do you keep in touch with any of the gentlemen that you were?
We did for a while, and had some of the guys were from below Chicago, and we'd go down there and stay for the weekend and have a good time, but it got to be too much of a good thing, and very few people showed up, so it ended. But no, I'm not. Several of the guys that I came in with from the same high school died fairly young, so there were very few that I stayed in touch with.
Understanding, that tends to happen with the military guys.
Oh yeah.
What I've always found interesting, and maybe you can put your intake on this, is that you cannot see one of your military buddies for years, but as soon as you see each other, right back to
Yep.
where you were. Do you
Yep.
agree with that?
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Once you learn and once you know them, it's automatic. One of them was a pig farmer from southern Minnesota, and we met at his place a couple times and had a ball. We really enjoyed our reminiscing.
So how many years total did you do in the
Two.
military? 2 years in the military?
Yeah.
Have you used any of your benefits that you earned, post 9/11, GI Bill, VA housing?
I had, schooling,
Mhm.
but it was, it was a farce. The local people that were doing it, they were there for the money, and we really didn't get much out of it.
Okay. Um, while you were in, do you have a story that you can think of that you'd like to share with us? Something
Well,
funny or?
not specifically. My look at the Army when I was in it was I was deprived of 2 years of my life. But after I got out, I realized I had gone in as a boy and came out a man, a totally different person. And it affected my marriage because I wasn't the same guy when I came out, and didn't want that same thing anymore. But it changed me considerably. And I look back on it as being very, in fact, just the other day, the lady I live with here said, well, where did you learn to make beds? In the service. And I said, in there you had to drop a quarter on it and it had to bounce. Yeah, you remember.
Um, we all learn different traits while we were in the military. What was some of the things that you learned while you were in the military, whether it be discipline or organization, that impacted your future after the military?
Probably one of my friends from Minnesota was my squad leader. He came in with us. We were all at the same level. And he was an athlete, so he got to go play athletes, and they looked for somebody to replace him, and I'd step in there because it got me out of KP and no guard duty. I was an acting corporal. It got the sleeves and all that, but the pay was still an E1. But having that leadership role helped me in finally getting into a job in that market. I looked again for getting into leading, and it helped me that way. In that I practiced that, and they come in and we need 3 people for PT or for kitchen duty, and I'd have to pick them out and explain to them why I was doing that to them. But it helped later in life where I was supervising a bunch of people, and the experience I had in the Army helped as a backup information.
What did you do once you left the military? What was your job after?
I went into, at that time, it was IBM accounting machines. I went to work for an insurance company, and they weren't paying worth a dang. But then I found a place in Minneapolis. I was in St. Paul, Minnesota. Found a job in Minneapolis with Honeywell. And that was the place I stayed for the duration of my working career. And did reasonably well as far as promotions and getting along and getting things done.
So would you say that the military helped you
Oh, yeah.
understand how to deal with others
Yep.
in maybe a politically correct kind of way?
Yes, you you had to, because it's a bunch of guys like you and I sitting here, and I'm going to tell you, hey, you what you have to do, and you're not going to like it, but you learn that that's a necessity, and learn how to deal with the people that are upset with you, and to get them to do work.
How to motivate people?
Yep.
What is one of your proudest moments while you were in the military? Do you have one, an award, a promotion, an accomplishment, something like that?
Not really. I kept pictures and this, and the one we're at guard duty, getting ready for guard duty, and some retired general came down and inspected us. And I got a picture of him and I together. And that's about the best I got out of the service.
Well, that's still, meeting a general, that's a pretty big deal.
It was a pain because we were in our A1 clothes and standing with the helmets and rifles and everything, and it was kind of a pain for us, and standing and waiting for him to show up.
Hurry up and wait for the big dog to come in while you're all spit shine.
Right.
If I'm a young person sitting across from you, would you tell me to join the military, and what advice would you give me?
Oh, I'd heard the previous guy talking about that, and I kind of disagree with him. It did me a lot of good, but I despised it when I was in there because it was taking away my civilian life. That's where I wanted to be. Later, I realized no, it built me into a different kind of a person, and it helped me in my job life for the rest of my life, and in here even. So I wouldn't advise them to do it unless they were motivated. If you go into it and you're not motivated, it's drudgery and not nice.
In everything you've done in life, is there a credo or some kind of motto or some driving force that you would like to share with others?
Well, the one that I there's several. One, in any kind of life, you get problems. And I went to a presentation on monkeys on your back. And every problem you have, there's a monkey on the back and you got to feed it. And I don't want your monkeys. So don't come to me and try to get me to help you. I got too many of my own. And keeping you away makes my life easier. And the other one is if you want to fly with the eagles, don't hang out with the turkeys.
I like that. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
No, not really. No,
Not really? Okay, we won't dwell too deep into that.
It was
one.
effective.
Yes. So, do you have any family members, friends, loved ones that you'd like to say something to for?
I kind of lost my family at 11. My dad and mother split, and neither one of them I ended up living with. And what I spent like 4 years with my grandmother, who she's the one that taught me and set me on a straight life. But my family was almost non-existent. So I had to take care of myself. And I think that was a thing that helped me later in life, not falling back on somebody else to do the job. I got to get it done myself. And I got and still have, I have confidence in myself. In fact, I'd rather do your job than see you do it, because I think I can do it better. That's not true, the situation here, but that was the attitude I took. I know I can do it, and get out of my way, and I'll get it done.
And did you learn some of that self-confidence in the military?
Oh yeah, yes.
Being in charge of all those people.
Right,
And building
right.
that, like you said, coming in as a young adolescent, leaving as a man.
Yes. That's kind of hard to talk about too. You really admitting that you were kind of a whippet kid coming in, and coming out, it was different. Coming out was another situation in the Army. We were 3rd Army. The whole base was 11th Airborne. And the airborne cadre are the ones that put us through basic training. So we had the same damn training they had to an extent. It was not an easy one. But they were all the time trying to get the non-airborne people to go airborne. And, get out of the Third Army and go with them. And quite a few of the guys did. They talked about, pardon me, one of the first lieutenants that came up and tried to convince us to go become paratroopers. He said, jumping out of airplanes is better than sex. And we laughed him out. He didn't stay there very long. But when we got out, the center that we went to process out of the service, a lot of the guys that did go airborne and us, we all met there. And there are a lot of them that were limping. When I was in, the chutes they used were not the ones they have now. And they jumped from 1,000 feet, and a lot of people with broken legs or injured legs. And I was very happy that I decided not to go that route.
Well, we're glad you're still here and all in one piece, of
Yeah.
course. What is something you wish more people knew about the sacrifices made by the military personnel?
Oh, yeah. That's a difficult one. Because I got a lot out of the service to help me, but I also, I guess it gave me the confidence to take off and do the things I wanted to do. And to a young guy, the advice I'd give him was, if you're really interested in it, go do it. But if not, don't go running into the service and expect them they're going to turn you into a sweetheart of a guy. That doesn't necessarily work.
Do you have anything personally you would like to add to this interview? A story, an anecdote, a shout out to a loved one?
Not really, because as I said before, my family is, I have one cousin that, she and my one daughter both worked at the family trees, and they both came to a certain point and realized they're both Mitchells, and she asked my daughter, did she know any Richards? She said, yeah, my father. Well, come to find out, this lady that found my daughter, she and I were buddies. She was a cousin of mine, and I spent a lot of time with her. She was about 3-4 years younger than me, so I used to take care of her. But she's the only family that I have any contact with at all. So leaving information for the family is kind of remote for me.
Okay. I don't have any more questions for you. I appreciate your time today on the Pinellas County Veterans Association. We appreciate your service, and thank you very much for that and your time, sir.
Appreciate it. Bye now.